Welcome to Compai's Expat channel. I'm Compai. I am Sisua's voice of reason. Guys, today I'm in the studio with a good friend of mine, John. To give you some background, if you had a Compai cigar, you've seen the work John's done in Casa de Kai. This is my consultant. We sat down. We're the ones who developed my cigar. So I wouldn't have the bar in Casa de Kai as well as it is if it wasn't for my friendship with this gentleman. There's a lot of places to rent in Sosua. If you're looking for peaceful, affordable, and tranquil, look at Casa de Kai, Sosua's hidden gem. When you're ready to reserve at Casa de Kai, my contact information is in the description down below. So I got him in the studio, and I've been trying to get him in the studio for a long time.
We've been talking about this for months.
A long time.
Yeah.
What I value with your friendship is you're able to give me the insight, the opinions, and the knowledge of a Dominican who understands how to do business that the Americans can work with. So you're able to see the Dominican point of view and relay it in the American mindset. And having a friend and business consultant who can do that is invaluable. So I'm thinking today we get you in the studio and we talk about the two biggest concerns that is for the whole country right now. And let's have a conversation about that. And the first one is construction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of control, and it's been going on for how long? Since COVID.
Since COVID. I mean, it's been amazing, the growth of the country in many, many ways. When it goes to utilities, when it goes to building condos, when it building new neighborhoods, and the way that people are displacing from big cities to small ones. I mean, everybody's looking for peace. Everybody's looking to get rid about the long commute in Santo Domingo, or or how Punta Cana now is becoming a chaotic city due to the whole construction of new avenues, new roads. And that's the main general consensus. In major cities and small cities, construction is now becoming a huge headache for everyone.
So this is the Dominican saying this. This isn't the American saying this or the expat saying this. This is the viewpoint of the Dominican population. There's a lot of places to rent in Sosua. If you're looking for peaceful, affordable, and tranquil, look at Casa de Kai, Sosua's hidden gem. When you're ready to reserve at Casa de Kai, my contact information is in the description down below.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's cool to have this because it's been a good part of the growth that we're having over the last 4 or 5 years. But right now, the main consensus is it too much construction? I mean, it's too chaotic because in places like Santiago, where it used to be all single houses and most of the majority of neighborhoods there, now it's high rises. So it's a high rise next to a small house, next to a mall, next to a plaza. And if you see that whole process of compared to zoning in the United States, which is all process, I mean, you can put a high rise in a neighborhood, in a single neighborhood area, or a mall into a place like Sosua, for example. Here it's totally chaotic. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And locals are getting a sense of, yes, it's too much happening right now, and we need to have like a ceiling of that.
You need to roll it back a little bit. I know, and I say this all the time in my channel, post-COVID, pre-COVID. I do that in business all the time because it was that much of a change in what happened in this country from how things were pre-COVID to post-COVID, just with the amount of foreigners coming down here, the influx.
It's a blessing, but it can be a curse.
And I think what happened is we ran through that blessing cycle, and now we're getting into the realization of what happens when you hit a certain level. I don't want to use the term overdevelopment, but I think we're getting close because the electricity isn't where it should be, the water. I mean, we're having
We
some,
had a
some
huge
issues.
situation that never happened in our history of our country 3 weeks ago, when nationwide we have a huge outage. I mean, in Santiago, for example, you get stuck in traffic for 4 or 5 hours in just one, like in a 10-mile radius. And in Santo Domingo, it was very chaotic, and in small cities too. And that stopped the economy for a few hours in general. I mean, big industries, small businesses, people, they were concerned about that. And even if we have improved a lot when it goes to have a national grid that connects to all cities, we need to, there's a lot of improvement that needs to be established in that. And especially in cities where population used to be way smaller and now it's growing, like the south side of the country, Bani, Pedernales, Asua, where people are moving from. They used to live in Santo Domingo, or they used to live abroad in New York, and now they're buying a single house or a villa, or sitting there with the whole family. And expats too, they're sitting there, or here in Sosua, where you've seen that. I mean, the construction is outrageous
It's out of
from the
control.
east to the west.
Yeah,
It's chaotic. I mean, and we have in the North Coast one single road, and there's no capacity for that amount of construction to have just one single connection between the big city from Puerto Plata to the west side, to the east side, which is Sabaneta, which is the borders of the province. And that's not possible.
I remember back in, must have been 2000, it was before I lived here, so it had to be 2015 or 16, not last year's heavy rain, but the rain before that, because a lot of people don't understand the heavy rains come in cycles.
Yeah.
It's like a 7-year cycle. And it was the cycle before the one we just had last year. And the bridge in Imbert
I was living here. I was living in the area.
We almost lost that bridge. They were building coffer dams with bulldozers in the river. The road going from Sabaneta to Mocha, unpassable. The tourist road, unpassable. So us only having one road that runs up and down the coast, we were almost cut off from the rest of the country.
Yeah, you were literally out.
It was, and I was flying out of Santiago that day, and I took Metro to one side of the bridge, and Caribe Tours picked us up on the other. No cars. We had to get our suitcases and walk across the bridge, and for me that was a wake up. Like, this can happen. This is the rain you don't see in New Jersey.
Yeah, you don't see that in Miami.
No,
you don't see that in Puerto Rico. You don't see that in many other cities and spots where the expos are. You don't see that chaos that happened that moment. And with the Cangrejo Bridge too. I mean, it happened 5 years ago. I was living here. I was living in Sosua, and it struck me a lot. I mean, it was awakening for me. That saying, this cannot be possible. This situation that we can control, which is nature. You can't control rains. You can't control the hurricanes. You can't control earthquakes. But being connected by one single road to the rest of the country, it is a major situation that it can. I don't know how to say it, but what
it can do is it become very dangerous. All it takes is one accident to shut that road down.
Dangerous?
All it takes is one landslide, like we've seen, to shut that down.
Number one, dangerous, and number two, it will be a huge concern for the ones who are investing here. I mean, you're not going to invest a 300K condo, beautiful with the seaside signing, and having just one single road to connect you to the airport, which is going to be blocked by a bridge that's already overthrown.
I've already had guys miss their flights because of an accident. That's it, and most people can't comprehend that happening. And the other thing is, which is a good thing, is the Dominican middle class is gaining popularity. It's growing. And with that financial stability comes the ability to have credit. And that gives them the ability for a car loan. I remember in Sosua when I could walk across the highway and not having to stop and wait for traffic. Because there was that few cars on the road.
That was 5 or 6 years ago.
Not that long ago. I say it all the time. I remember dirt roads around Casa de Kai and guys driving cattle down the road at 7 in the morning and waking me up. Now it's a totally different town. So not only do we have the influx of the foreigners, we have the Dominican population buying cars.
Buying cars, buying houses, buying land, which is great. But again, it's another responsibility from the government and from individuals to say, okay, am I going to be able to purchase? Yeah, I can be able to purchase 2 cars, but how's going to be the parking? How's going to be commuting? How's going to be the roads, traffic? The police, they don't have the capacity to handle all the stuff here. The government itself doesn't have the capacity. They've been trying to establish new rules to drive in Santo Domingo. That hasn't worked. In Santiago, that hasn't worked. They tried to impose new changes on traffic. That hasn't improved a lot, even in that. And it's going to be a sense that in 4 or 5 years, it's going to be out of hands for the government to handle all things traffic, all things commuting, all things infrastructure in general.
I say this all the time.
And for me, as we rolling back on what we're saying, that it's going to be a curse. That if we can't control that right now, it's going to be a huge wave for the future. Like when you're surfing in the sea and you're surfing a high tide, it's going to roll back in you.
You're going to get barreled, absolutely. But here's the thing when it comes to the behavior on the road. And that's one of the things
that's another topic, of course.
That goes into the traffic issues. And I say this all the time, and it offends some people, but it's true. When I was a kid, I was in the car with my grandparents, right? And I watched them stop at red lights. I watched them stop at stop signs. The generations here, their grandparents didn't have cars. Their parents didn't have cars. So even though I wasn't driving as a child, obviously, but I was still subconsciously seeing the rules of the road. I knew there were times you had to stop your car. I knew green meant go, red meant stop. We even had a game like that as kids, red light, green light,
Yeah.
So it was part of our upbringing and our culture. So now you have everybody who has access to vehicles who never had one before.
Well, thanks to credit and thanks to all the benefits that the government has been provided over the 2 or 3 administrations prior, citizens now have a car, they can have a motor, they can have credit to get access to it. But the thing is that it's generating a chaos in general when it goes to mass traffic, that even in highways, even on the main general highways here in the Dominican Republic are getting crowded. And you may say, okay, are we getting out of space for cars? Are we getting out of space for motos? Not yet, but soon. We're close to that.
Do you think the government's going to do anything to curtail the amount of construction going on? Not domestically, the foreigners coming down and purchasing, because evidently the Dominicans are having the ability to build and buy, and they're buying beautiful condos in Santiago, Santo Domingo, Mocha. So there's money there. Do you think they're gonna say they're gonna pump the brakes on the amount of people that
I don't
can
think
come in?
so. This administration in particular, with the Abinader, with the president right now promoting investment at all costs. I mean, right now the government is fully backing the motto that you come with your money and we're going to protect your money and this is a safe country to invest. And I don't think they will have any restrictions on that. So right now we're having a free market when it goes to construction. So you can bring your money, build your house with your commercial space, and you're not going to get restrictions, just obviously with the basics of the law, but you're not going to get any restrictions when it goes to that. And it's happening to locals too. What is the government is doing is trying to to impose, let's say, new standards when it goes to construction. We were having a lot of scams when it goes to build, the way we build, the way that workers are doing buildings and houses. And even we are not a country that has many earthquakes or shakes as compared to others in the Caribbean or in Central America, which is, they have more rates on that. In our case, we've been rolling, let's say, we've been lax when it goes to imposing construction codes like
For earthquakes?
yeah, for earthquakes in general. I mean, you're not going to come in here and invest, what, 300K, 400K, and see a lot of cracks in their house. Or have your living room being scrambled.
Yeah, well, I know
paintings.
when coming from New Jersey, we build in wood. So doing the construction down here, and I've been redoing property since I was 20. I'm 57 or 58 now. So you know, when it comes to the mechanicals and things like that, I know what I'm looking for, but
and many expats they have a specific standard of how they want their property built and finish it and everything. But here in DR, things are totally different. Compared to other countries in Latin America, standards are depending of who you be working with.
Yeah, who you hire. But I know when I was building phase 2 of Casa de Kai, the 3-story building where all the 1-bedrooms are, I actually had my Swiss engineer came in at the end of the day and would inspect everything that was done the day before or that day. And because I don't know concrete, you know, rebar, was it the right rebar being used? Was it being put in the correct locations? Was it being tied together with the right size wire strand? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And when I talk to the guys who are coming down in Casa de Kai and they're saying, I'm building this, I'm building that, and I start asking them questions. Well, you're going to make sure they do a slump test. And they're like, what are you talking about? So I have to explain to them what a slump test is. And that's what I think is one of the biggest issues down here in the Dominican Republic. You got people with more money than experience who are coming down here and building. And now when things go south in that construction, they don't blame themselves. They blame the people that built it, because the ultimate responsibility is on the owner.
Yeah, we're having a lot of Dominicans they're exposing for the first time the reality when it goes to their properties. Like you're seeing a lot of TikTok videos, a lot of YouTube videos. Dominicans saying, "Hey, this is not what I invested. I invested 3 million, 4 million pesos. That's around less than 200K in their first apartment, and their construction company." What they did, it was a mess. And when it goes to consumer protection, that's another stuff that it's another video.
It's buyer beware.
It's another video.
There's
but
buyer beware and Facebook. That's
when it goes to consumer protection in that environment, when it goes to construction, you're on your own, literally, because and you can buy the property, but the constructor is just responsible when they're finished, and that's it. They clean their hands and
Now you're going into a
that's
area-
that's a huge
whole,
topic.
and I talk a lot about this, and I said it in one of my other videos. I don't peddle positivity for profit. I don't do it. I'll tell you like it is. And you have and I say it pre-COVID, post-COVID. You have these real estate agents who've come down here after COVID. You have so many social media content creators, Facebook, TikTok,
And Dominicans
YouTube,
too.
who don't know what the heck they're talking about. But they can make a nice video. They can go green screen and do all this and talk about all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they don't understand what they're really talking about. And I'm seeing a lot of people being influenced by these real estate agents telling them, buy here.
No, and of course by constructions and builders, of course, everybody's trying to promote their own business, which is cool. But the thing is that
Sure, I do the same thing.
They're always chasing profits, and when you're into profits, you're moving away from quality, and that's what's happening when it goes to construction. I mean, you're seeing all these new high rises in Santo Domingo, in Santiago, in Puerto Plata, but I will tell you, believe me, at least 75% of them, they have issues when it goes to standards, when it goes to finishing, when it goes to the way they were built. And they've been trying to promote, like, this is paradise. But once you see the property itself, once you see the quality of the finishing and you see all the termination, you will see, oh, Jesus Christ, it ain't worth $300K to $400K.
Well,
You're
man, I'm picking and
confusing.
choosing my words. Wow. But I have no issue with. I'm a capitalist to the core.
Yeah.
I believe
100%.
make your money, but do it with a sense of integrity. And what I'm seeing now is people being concubines for commission. They're whoring themselves out. You cannot take a day trip to a particular city, know the real estate market, give advice, throw your support behind a project, and know what exactly is going on. And that's the problem with what I see has changed drastically especially here on the North Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Because before you would have everybody doing YouTube just talking about girls. Now you got guys who are being paid to support projects and this and that, and it's not their own. And
we're gonna become the Miami of the Caribbean. It's gonna be construction. It's gonna be new projects. It's gonna be high rises, and the future of cities like Sosua, which is becoming from a municipality to probably soon to become a much higher city in terms of population, is that those projects are going to be in the top of the mind and say, this is the fantasy land that we wanted to build. But on the surface, it looks, and the bright picture is looking fancy, wonderful, but in reality, when you go to the surface, it's chaos and it's chaotic.
Let's take a different approach real quick. With all the construction that's going on and with the amount of foreign investment that's coming in,
By the way, let me emphasize on that. Foreign investment goes also from expats, but also from Dominicans.
Yep.
Dominicans abroad from the Northeast, from the West Coast, in the United States, and from Europe, they're investing heavily here.
Well,
right now.
let's address that real quick. Why? Because you're having second and third generation Dominican immigrants who went to other countries who are successful, and now they're doing the same thing that the rest of us are doing.
Yeah.
They're using the strength of the currency in the country they're living in to invest down here to create a better life for themselves. I wouldn't be able to do what I've done if it wasn't in this country. I couldn't have done it in Turks and Caicos or Aruba. I don't
Or
have
Mexico.
that kind of, just not, I'm not rich enough. I didn't have the money. But how are the local Dominicans, your average Dominican, how have they hit that point where, You guys are changing our town. You're changing our country. You're making things too expensive for us. Has it gotten to that point? Because it's coming.
Let me put an example, and it's happening in Santiago. Santiago used to be like a workers' town because it was all manufacturing, and now it's becoming over the last 20 years much of a service city. Services where it goes to other banking, call centers, all that kind of new type of services, and malls. It used to be a very quiet town, and now it's changing to high rises and everything. And it's because the majority of the population, which is Santiagueros abroad, now they're putting their money back, and now they wanted to have the same standards that they saw in countries like the U.S. Now they wanted to put it in Santiago, and you see it's flourishing. It's amazing the changes that they're happening. However, prices. The rent is skyrocketing now. Santiago used to be a very cheap city to live and invest. Now it's changing a lot. The neighborhoods that used to be slums, now you have full apartments. They're charging $400, $500, $600, $700 a month for 2 or 3 bedrooms.
That's a lot for a Dominican.
For a Dominican, it's a lot, but it's cheaper compared to cities like Santo Domingo, prices are 2 times that price, or in Puerto Plata, where the prices are 50% more because it's a coastal city, it's more touristic. But in Santiago, it shouldn't be that way. But Santiago has improved when it goes to have a private airport. It's one of the few cities who have a private airport. Besides Punta Cana, they have all the medical facilities there, which is amazing. I mean, you don't have to go to Miami. You don't have to go to Johns Hopkins or any medical facility in the States. You have it in Santiago. Still industrial there. The majority of businesses are located there. So that's when it goes to compared to the growth of the city,
the quality of life.
Quality of life has been growing in that pace, but the prices are
all right.
Those are locals are changing on that.
So okay, you just answered my question. So it's the locals that are driving the change in quality of life that is driving up. So it's not so much the foreigners.
And it's been happening over the last 5 to 6 years. I mean, they notice it immediately. Oh, we're the cheapest city in the country. We should be raising prices, and it's been happening. It's been happening for owners who realize that they wanted to have more value for the property, and companies. They notice immediately that compared to Santo Domingo, we need to raise prices a little bit more.
I don't see prices rolling back at all. And a lot of people are saying, oh, when's the next bubble coming? How much is the down? And that's not how it works down here because we're not a real mortgage-based real estate market. It's cash and carry. So people just, they'll hold on to their properties because they don't have to worry about a bank taking them back.
Yeah.
So prices hit that level and they stay. Now, that doesn't mean an individual is not going to unload their property. But collectively, you won't see the market adjust back 15, 20%.
No.
You won't see that here.
Because owners realize, hey, I'm making money at this. So
and there's no debt.
No.
That's the thing. When debt kills people, and if you have banks taking back property, that's what drives the prices down. But if they just hold on their property and paying their HO fees, they wait.
Yeah.
And then they raise their prices.
As Dominicans, we are very proud when it goes to property. Like, we have the same mentality that you guys have back in the 50s and 60s that if I have a car, if I have a house on my own and not being owed by a bank, that will be my secret, my success for any Dominican here. And that's the beauty. And still for the new generations, that's still the main goal. Like I want to give my mom a house. I want to give my parents a land where they can build their new property.
Yep.
So compared to other Latin American countries, we're very on and their feet on the ground when it goes to possessions and that matter, and not trying to get debt at a cost, because a society like the U.S. where everything goes to debt, you can have a mortgage of 5% or have a immediate cash for the $200-400 immediately. Here is it totally opposite. And central bank here is trying to hold the brakes as much as possible. They wanted to liberate the market and free it to everyone to get credit, but the thing is that if you free it too much,
yep. And I like
you're
the mentality.
gonna get the same
Yep.
situation. The country is gonna be in crumbles.
You put everybody in debt slavery.
Yeah.
And I like the mentality here that the banks, the central bank doesn't want that to happen.
It's because we have, before 2008, we have our own crisis. It was 2003. And
Banco Leon, right?
Yeah, no, it was Baninter. So Baninter, who was the biggest bank in the country, not popular like is it today, but Baninter controlled literally the whole country. It was one bank among the others. So that little bank actually was a big bank. Later was a buyout by Scotiabank after that. But after the crash that we had in 2003, the central bank say, okay, we need to strong our economy. We want to make it attractive for investors, and we need to put rules, because before that we didn't have any rules when it goes to that. We didn't have a Consumer Protection Act. We didn't have investment protection at all. You can have $100K in the bank, and during that time,
FDIC, right?
It will blown out away. You don't have anything anywhere to go to gain back your money. And we didn't want to repeat the same situation that was happening in Argentina, 2001,
Yep.
at Corralito, where everybody was asking for money immediately. So what the government did that moment, and it's been, all those policies are still in place 25 years later, but they need to have a renewal. We need to improve that again. We need to sit all parties, and not in the political side of things. We need to sit business people. We need to sit investors. We need to sit even expats. They need to have a share in there and say, okay, we need to improve our economy. We need to make things easy for everyone, but we have to improve the rules that we have right now. Because recently, I don't know if you saw the news, the central bank imposed new rules when it goes to moving money. Now there's a new limits. So
I had this talk today with a client,
and it feels so. For the outsiders, may feel like, you guys are feeling communist society, but in reality, it's about protectionism. And we need to protect the money. What's coming from? If it's coming from illegal sources,
Yep, sure.
And the government doesn't want to have. Remember, we're in the middle of everything. We're in the middle of all parties and the countries that are having their. Mexico has its own situation. Venezuela has its own situation. Colombia has its own situation.
Haiti
and
has its own situation.
it's a blessing. We are in the middle of the paradise. It's a beautiful thing. Nothing is happening here, and the government wants to keep things control for that. And compared to other countries in Latin America, this is like a little paradise.
It's what I value about the way things are done here. It's not a rush. It's all baby steps. Things go in little steps. It takes a while for things to work. They'll do something, they'll stop, they'll see how it works, they'll adjust, they'll revamp, they'll do another step. And that's how I see, as a foreigner, the process going. It goes back into what we were talking about, the central bank, and into constructions. Yes, they are allowing people to get mortgages, but they still make it. There's the requirements to get that
The
mortgage.
requirements compared to other countries in America is
so hard.
horrible.
Which keeps things safe, because what a lot of expats don't understand, especially if they're American, we just print money. We're the we are the world currency.
Yeah.
Right? So we can print our money. The Dominican Republic can print its money too, but it doesn't have the same effect as when we print money. So this country needs a certain amount of dollars in the treasury to be able to buy things on the open market.
Right.
So it has to be very protective of the money it lends out in the form of American dollars, because it needs American dollars to buy oil. For everything that's imported, that's bought on the world economy, needs to be bought in American dollars.
Yeah.
So that's what I value, how things are held more secure in that sense. I mean, there's always people who are going to say, "Oh, it's a banana republic. It's going bankrupt. It's going to zero." But when you really understand how things were years ago, you'll understand why things are the way they are.
Before the 2000s, you wouldn't be able to, not even interested in living here. In the 90s, this was like a no man's land when it goes to investing. After that crash, suddenly it was a real blessing for us. I mean, we had to go to the bottom and jump back again to rise to stability in order to keep things organized. And yes, I mean, no country is perfect.
Nope. Exactly.
I mean, Mexico is amazing. You can go to Cancun, you can go to Acapulco, you can go to Tulum, but look how Tulum is happening right now.
No, thank you.
Look how Cabo is happening right now, is struggling right now. Look how Colombia is struggling right now with certain aspects of their economy, and we have been, for lucky, in all these years, to be a consistent economy when it goes to keep things organized.
It's been
in our way, yes, in our way, but keep things tranquilo. We want to have our things tranquilo.
That's where a lot of the expats have a hard time adjusting. We're so used to having things done the way we're accustomed to. They don't understand things need to go at their own pace here.
No, I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I mean, the first time an expat jumps out of their borders and starts exploring the world, the majority of them assume that everything is going to be the same back home. But in reality, every country has its own way of doing things. It's not the same as Portugal. It's not the same as Spain or Greece. Mm-hmm. It's not the same as here in Latin America. Every country has its own way of doing things, and it's not going to be the same like you back home.
No, but it's important for the expat to acknowledge things are different everywhere, and not just say it, but practice it. And so I had guys come to me the other day, and they said, "Hey, I bought a condo in this condo complex, and it's taken forever to get built." That was a whole nother conversation, because that went into the banking. Do they have enough money to finish?
And we're rolling back to construction. I mean, mm-hmm. The demand that we're having right now has slowed down the process for construction times, permits, the way we handle the processes with the government, like getting the processes with the title and everything has slowed down, mm-hmm. And it's because the huge demand, right? That we have.
Well, and then
the government can handle all the.
Well, and we also deported a lot of the workforce as well.
Exactly.
But here, the thing, because this channel is pretty much a real estate channel, and how many conversations have we had at my bar, smoking a cigar, talking about real estate?
By the way, when we're gonna do it? Like, I want to do it like.